Hello and welcome to Stonehaven Shorts. I'm Lorianne. Here we are on a beautiful January morning. It is, I'm going to say sunny for most parts. We've had an unusually warm little stint here. We're looking at about 0 degrees today, which is very rare for January. I am going to feed my birds today. And I wanted to walk you through the journey with me because it is one of the very simple pleasures of living in the country, is paying attention to the birds, something I have never done before. And I just read an article about bird language. So come along with me and we'll see if we can get these little buddies fed. Hopefully you can still see me with the sun in the background there. An unusual problem to have in January is sunshine. Anyways, most of my bird feeders are just along the back tree line, and we're fortunate enough to have some good viewing from the windows that we have in the back. Now, I need to preface this by saying I am absolutely no Audubon Society member. I don't know much about birds. I am definitely learning. What I have learned this winter is a couple things. The first thing is that there's a summer feed and then there's a winter feed. They need to be a little bit higher fat content in the winter. I also understand that when they are shelling these seeds and eating the bird feed, there's going to be some debris that happens underneath, and you have to be cognizant of that if you really have a well manicured area and you don't want any seeds or any weeds that are growing from that, or random sunflowers. So keep that in mind when you place your bird feeders. Most of my bird feeders I just got at garage sales or auction sales. I've just sort of inherited them. It's not something that I've paid a lot of attention to, but I do like the ones that are covered from the elements. So if it's raining or it's melting or windy or whatever, you want to make sure that the food stays relatively good for them. I have this one that I got from an auction sale, and what's cool about it is they must have had a problem with squirrels. I don't have a whole lot of problem with squirrels thus far, but this one is good because the squirrels can't get into it. So it has a nice little load in the front. Now, what I have found is black oil sunflower seeds is the best for the birds that I feed, which are mostly chickadees, blue jays. In the spring, we're going to see robins and those black-winged birds. Red-winged blackbirds. And this little guy is pretty good. So if you look inside, there's a little slot, so you can fill it up and you close it, and then you tip it over, you put it onto your little bird feeder, and then you slide the thing open and all the seeds load in there. So very cool to avoid from a lot of spills. And here I am in our little utility vehicle here, which we like to try and keep clean. So the less spillage, the better. So here we are. I've loaded it up and just comes out the bottom. Isn't that cool? Pretty slick, hey? And one scoop usually does this feeder. If I have some extras that are just kind of overflowing there, I usually just grab it and throw them into the trees. Oh, well, and I didn't do a very good job there, but I'll just throw it into the trees because some of these birds are scavengers on the bottom. And that literally is it. Now, in the summertime, I have solar lights in the back, which then in the wintertime transfer into holding my bird feeders. This little box I got, again, at a garage sale. You can see where the birds have had their claws there as they hang on to it. And I fill it up with the bird seed in there. And there's a little mirror here as well. So it's kind of a unique little thing. Honestly, anything can be a bird feeder, so use your imagination. I'm going to quickly fill this up. Hopefully you can see this. I've got my camera mounted a bit higher. So I have 2 more bird feeders over here. This guy looks like that. So just a cheapie. Well, I'd like to say cheapie, but you know what? If you're buying bird houses or bird feeders, they're not that cheap. Like, I think I might have spent close to $30 on this, and it really is just a plastic unit. I try and, get the cobwebs out or whatever. Probably a little bit more diligent in the summertime. But to be honest, in the summertime, you don't have to feed the birds as much. It usually is just something that you are going, oh, that's a little crooked. Usually it's something you're going to be doing in the wintertime. In the summertime, they're feeding off of all of the other seeds. So let me just grab my handy dandy little scoop. Now, this is big enough I don't have to tip it upside down. Now, I can hear different chirps in the background. Now, I know my birds, and I know that that's a different sound. Now, it could just be a different bird here, or it could just be what I have, I'll just set this down while I'm yammering, what I read about in this article. And it really is about the birds having a different language. And you can, for different events. So you can, situate yourself in an area that's sort of, where they like to be. And when they're comfortable with you, then they'll start talking, and you can really listen to them and say, oh yeah, that's just a normal songbird or whatever. But if they see a predator coming, they are going to have a different sound, and you'll be able to hear that different sound. So I'm definitely hearing a different sound right now, and that probably could be because I have the machine running and I'm out here, which is unusual to them. Yeah, I'm not hearing it right. So it's sort of like a deep, 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 deep. And that's not a chickadee, and that's not a blue jay. So it's interesting. We do spend a lot of time out here by the fire pit, usually in the spring. And that's when you really get to hear the birds. So they're going to have a different song when they're talking to each other. They're going to have a different song when they're mating or trying to call. And they're also going to have a different song when they have a predator that they see. Most of the birds that that feed off the ground or forage on the ground are really good to learn from, like the robins and the sparrows and the red-winged blackbirds are supposed to be the easiest ones that you can hear from or learn their language on. So I'm going to be starting to do that and learn that. There are a couple of apps that you can download, and so that when you hear them singing, especially in the spring when there's different birds coming in, you can record them and it'll tell you what kind of bird it is. So I've started to collect that and make sure that I'm doing some research on the type of bird seed that I have so that I can attract them and make sure that they're always around here. Now, having said that, I'm going to hang this back up, but as I do, you will see that I have a little white chair here, and I just have some skates on there as a bit of a decor. But we also have a friendly little cat, and the cat likes to sit right here and watch said bird. I just got some decor here I'm taking off. And so you can see where the birds can sometimes take offense to the cat. The songs that they sing might be different on whether or not they perceive the predator to be a small predator or a very large predator. So I find that quite interesting. Well, I'm hearing different sounds. It's wild because I never really even paid attention to it. But I am hearing different sounds now of the blue jays, which sound normal. So maybe they're a little bit more comfortable. Let me get this bird feeder done up. This is another one that I've spent some money on. The why I like this one is it does give a little bit of protection, but it really keeps clean. For some reason, I don't know why, but it does keep a little cleaner. It's got a copper top to it. Birds like reflection. shiny things. Yeah, this scoop actually almost fills up all of my feeders on one scoop. Now, I will also say I was shocked at the cost of bird feed, depending on the quality, of course. The black oil sunflower seeds, I think, are probably one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive. But I don't have acres and acres. I just fill up a few feeders and I watch for sales. There we go. Okay, now, because I'm a little closer to just sort of an empty area, I take a handful of seeds. Don't tell Greg, he'll probably be upset, but I just throw them because I know that the birds forage for them, and I really want to attract them because I love birds. All right, so the feeders are basically full. I have one more feeder that I'm going to fill, and then after that, we're going to do the soot cakes. Okay, soot cakes. Probably a gardener's best friend because there's a lot less mess with them. Oh, sorry, I got a little too close there. They come like this. Well, they come in different ways, and you can actually make your own. But for the most part, they come in little square packages that are wrapped up like this, and then you put them into a little wire cage. I have had very limited success with making my own soot cakes. There are soot balls that you can get. Check with your local butcher. And then you just put the balls in like maybe an onion net, or, you know, those little nets that you get with avocados, that kind of thing. They might even sell you those little nets. And I haven't done the soot balls yet. I think I might look towards that at some point, just to support our local businesses. But what I have read is that a person needs to be very careful when you're making your own, because there's some ingredients that could be harmful. Now, I'm just saying that I've read that. I don't have the specifics, so I would do a little research, is all I'm saying. You can't just take your bacon grease from smoked bacon that you've cooked in the morning and then throw it out, harden it and throw it out for the birds, because there's some preservatives in there. So you got to go watch that. Anyways, let me grab my little cage. And I like to put the soot cakes a little closer to our house and closer to the window because they are less messy. And we do have some mulch around the base of our house near the windows. So I want to make sure that the birds are fed, but not create some unnecessary weeding chores for me in the spring. So you just snap it into this little cage. It comes with its own little hook. Yes, it can sometimes be a little off center, but that's okay. Birds don't care. And this happens to be my lilac bush, which they have eaten a lot of these little seed pods too. So I don't trim my lilacs old blooms off. I feel like just naturally the world turns and the birds eat them and they poop them, and it's getting quite large for me to even do that anyways. So I want to get it as close to my window as possible, but it is quite heavy. So without dying here, let's see if I can get it up here. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. And if all the birds like it. The mix that I got is just wild bird mix. So I have one more cake to put up. I'll do that and I'll meet you back inside. It's getting a little cool out here. So here we are back inside, and the chickadees have started to enjoy some of the seed. It is about noon here today, and as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of activity in the back quite yet. Mostly chickadees. It usually is about 9 o'clock is when the birds start to warm up and wake up and decide if they want to eat or not. So it's touch and go on whether or not we can see some birds. I have taken some film of birds in the past and some pictures of birds in the past as well. So I'll pop that in here for you to take a look at. But One of my favorite things is to actually have a cup of coffee and just watch the birds out back. I challenge you to do that. I also challenge you to download, I think it's called Merlin Bird ID. And I think it's from Cornell University, where you just really hit record on your phone and it records whatever birds you're listening to, and it'll tell you immediately what kind of bird it is. It's fantastic. So avoid the ordinary, get out there with the birds and enjoy. See you next time.